So tell me, why is it that some people make discipline look so effortless, while others, they struggle to stick with the smallest little routines? I can tell you it's not motivation, it's not willpower, and it's definitely not because they're built differently. But in reality, the separator is they just don't build routines, but they have a system that allows discipline to be automatic. So in this video, we're going to talk about that system and how you can use that system so that discipline isn't just something that you try to do. Instead, it becomes a part of you. And if you stay to the end, you're going to have a 4-step method and a 4-step framework that's going to help you to make discipline look effortless. Now, have you ever said to yourself, you know what, I want to start looking better, so I'm going to start going to the gym. I want to start feeling better, so I'm going to start eating cleaner. I want to start being more productive with my time, so I'm going to wake up earlier. And then you go out on a journey to do that, only to find yourself right back where you started. Same old patterns, same old habits, same old routines. Listen, it happens more times than you think, to more people than you think. But what is sad is people will blame themselves as if they're the problem because they can't stick with the routine. But there's nothing wrong with them. They just haven't been taught the proper way to build routines that they can stick with. Something you got to understand is the brain hates change, absolutely hates change, unless it's in alignment with who we believe ourselves to be, because the brain follows beliefs. Now, when I say a belief, I'm not just talking about a single thought, because a single thought is a single thought, but a belief is a thought that has been repeated so many times that you behave without question. For instance, how often do you question if a chair is going to hold you or if it's strong enough to hold you before you sit in it? Are you shaking the legs to make sure the legs are strong enough? Are you checking the screws to make sure they're all tight? Are you pushing on the bottom to make sure it doesn't fall out? No, you're just sitting in the chair. Why? Because it is a belief. You built that belief over time from sitting in chair after chair after chair after chair. So your brain now says, I've sat in so many chairs and they have not broken. This is something that I don't have to think about because it is not a threat. See, you got to understand that the brain is designed to protect us. It's designed to and it protects us by conserving as much energy as possible by creating automatic patterns of habit. Right? So when you've sat in so many chairs, when you've seen other people sit in chairs and they have not broke, not one time, the brain says, okay, the chair is not a threat. So this is not something that I have to think about anymore. This is just something that I can just do. Right? So the brain follows beliefs. It doesn't know what is good, what is bad. So if you're attempting to make a change and you want to start going to the gym, the brain's not going to say, oh, this person wants to start being healthier. That is good for them. Maybe I should help them do that. No, this person wants to start being more productive. That's good for them. Maybe I should help them do that. It doesn't do that. It doesn't know. It doesn't know the difference between what's good, what's bad, what's up, what's down, what's constructive or destructive, what's empowering, what's disempowering. What it knows is what you repeat. Because what you do in repetition will be your life's condition. It craves consistency. It fiends for what is familiar. It's constantly looking for what is familiar. It's a way to protect itself so it can continue to scan for threats. That way it can protect us, protect the body. That's what it's designed to do, right? So it's looking for consistency between who you believe yourself to be, the repeated thoughts that you have, and the actions that you do, right? It's looking for that consistency between those two. So let me ask you this. When you are building out your routine, how often do you ask yourself, who do you see yourself as while you're attempting to build this new routine? Do you even ask yourself that question? Because most people that fail, they see themselves as a person who struggles to build the routine they're attempting to build. That's how they see themselves. So if you see yourself as someone who is unproductive, you're going to prove yourself right every time. If you see yourself as someone who struggles to get in shape, you're going to prove yourself right every time. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't read, hates reading, you're going to prove yourself right every time. But if you see yourself as someone as the opposite, someone who is productive, who does get things done, who is in shape, who goes to the gym, and that's what you do, that behavior is going to follow that belief, right? Because that's the way the brain works. The brain follows beliefs. It's all about alignment. You're aligning your actions with your identity. Now, your identity is the thoughts you believe to be true or untrue about yourself. It's that internal conversation that nobody else hears but you. Yeah, you may tell everybody else, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I do this, I do that, I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm blah, 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 right? You can tell everybody else that, but for many people, there's a disconnect, and there's a different story that they tell themselves there's a different story between what they tell other people and what they tell themselves. So you have to change your identity first, and then you align your actions with that identity. See, because most people are attempting to work from the outside in. So they say, if I just do the exercises, or if I just go to the gym, then I'll lose the weight, then I can call myself fit. It doesn't work that way. In life is an internal game, not an external one. So we work from the inside out, not the outside in. So you have to start with changing the thoughts and beliefs that you believe to be true or untrue about yourself first. Identity. And then you align those actions that you want to do, that you know that's going to get you the result that you want, with that identity. And that's what's going to create that transformation and change that you want. But changing your identity is just not enough. You also have to have massive and compelling reasons for why you want to do what you want to do. And you have to have a strong why. Because people that fail to build routines, they have weak reasons. If your only goal to wake up earlier is to be more productive, that's a weak reason. When it's dark, when it's cold, when the alarm clock is screaming at you, when you're tired, when you were up late, with the kids, when you couldn't sleep, you didn't get a good night's sleep, that's not a strong enough reason to get you out of bed. That's a strong enough reason to give you an excuse to stay in bed. It's not a strong enough reason to get you out of bed. But when you have a reason to be a leader for your family, for your team, for your community, to become someone that others can depend on, that's different. Different type of reason. Compelling reason. When you have a desire to live an impactful life, not a distracted life. Strong enough reason to get you out of bed. So your why and your reason is important. But I realize that a lot of people will use not knowing their reason as an excuse to stay on the sideline. Really, it's just driven by fear. But they'll use it as an excuse to stay on the sideline. Your why and your reason is something you're constantly going to be asking yourself throughout the whole journey. It's constantly going to be evolving, because as you grow, your why grows. As you grow, your reasons grow. As you expand, your vision and your reason for doing what you're doing expands. That's how it works. So it doesn't matter if you're just getting started. It doesn't matter if you're 15, 20 years in the game. You're constantly going to be redefining your reasons and why. So if you have a desire for making a change, you have a why. But what I found out is many people are scared to look at that why, because the why is often painful. We are more driven by pain than we are pleasure. Where there is no pain, there is no change. So you have to have a painful why, and you have to look at that why and have the courage to look at that why in order to have the change that you want to have. Now, 2 elements that you need for strong reasons or a strong why is, number 1, it has to be painfully personal. That means it's something personal that you feel emotionally. This is a very opinionated thing, but it's something that you feel deeply. Feeling weak is painfully personal, right? Feeling like you're not a good husband, not a good father is painfully personal. Feeling like you're not a good spouse, not a good mother is painfully personal. Feeling like you're not living up to the standard that you should be living up to is painfully personal. You have to have something that's emotionally compelling to you, that you feel emotionally. So when things get hard, it's going to pull you out of bed, or it's going to pull you to keep going when things get hard. Number 2 is you have to have something that is purposeful in serving other people, or purposeful in serving someone other than yourself. I'll say that, purposeful or serving someone or something other than yourself, right? What I realize is in life, the more we focus on ourselves, the more our intention is about us and we're doing things for selfish reasons, the more miserable we're going to be. If you've ever met anybody that is miserable, I guarantee you they're thinking about themselves. Even if you're just having a miserable moment, I guarantee you it's because you're thinking solely about you and not the people around you, or not the compelling vision, or not the massive reasons that you have and the massive why. You're solely focused on you and only you. That's when you become miserable. So you want to have a strong reason that is outside of yourself, right? That serves someone other than you. This is why people will work a job for 20 years that they hate to support kids that they love. This is why people will do something that they hate for a long term to support a family member that is elderly that supported them, right? So you have to have a strong enough purpose in serving other people. You have to have a purpose in serving other people, right? See, because when you have those two, what it does is it creates that emotion, number one, but it ties that emotion to something that is bigger than yourself, which then creates a massive change, which then pulls you forward and keeps you going. It's the thing that's going to get you out of bed in the morning. Now, it may not be pretty when you're getting out of bed, right? You don't just wake up wide-eyed, I'm ready to go, boom, full of energy, let's go. It may start out that way, but some days it may be a dogfight. But at the end of the day, you're still going to get done the things you need to get done. Why? Because you have a compelling reason and a compelling why that is both emotionally strong and that is also bigger than yourself. So you have to have a strong why. And if you don't have a strong why, you're just going to be forced to rely on motivation. And if you know that motivation doesn't last. Motivation is trash. But it's momentum. That's where the cash is, right? Motivation is trash. Momentum is cash. Because motivation, no one has ever been successful long term sticking to only motivation. Motivation may get you out of bed for a week or two. It may help you for a week or two, a day or two. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be a thing that sustains you long term to create that transformation and that change you're looking to make. So you want to look for momentum. So if you ever see someone who seems to be motivated, who seems to be winning constantly, who seems to be getting things done, it's not that they're motivated. It's just that they're driven by momentum, right? It's the law of inertia. An object in motion will remain in motion unless acted on by an outside force. But the reverse is also true. An object at rest. So if you're not doing anything with your life and you're just sitting around, an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an outside force. Right? That strong enough reason and emotion is that outside force that's going to pull you forward. Not push you forward, but pull you forward. And help you to become the person you want to become. Right? So you need momentum. You have to protect your momentum. Because momentum is one of those things that is so underrated that people don't value enough, right? Because when you have that momentum, it's what keeps you propelling forward, keeps you winning. It keeps you going. But as soon as you stop, it's like going downhill, right? And then you get to the bottom of the hill and now you got to fight your way back up to the hill. Nobody likes to fight back up. Everybody likes that downhill where you're just rolling. So you have to protect your momentum. So next, let's talk about how do we build a system that makes quitting harder than continuing. And it's a 4-step method that I like to use called D.A.R.E. Now, it starts with define and decide. So number one, you have to define who it is that you want to become. You have to define what it is that you want, because clarity is power. And if you don't define it, you won't be able to live it. So you have to define that person that you want to become. You have to have an aim. You have to have something that you're going after or the direction that you want to go towards. The more specific, the better. Once you define it, then you have to decide to become that person. You have to decide to get on the path and go that way toward the thing that you want. There's a difference between a choice and a decision. A decision, you're burning the boats and you're going to make it work. I'm going this way regardless. No matter how hard it gets, I'm going to stay on this path. And I can't go back because I burned my boats. Now I have to survive. Now I have to make it. That's when you make a decision. But when you make a choice, you take the boats and you anchor them to the bottom. You say, I'm going to leave this right here just in case the waves get too much, or the waves or the current becomes too much and I can swim back to my boat and then I'll start over. It doesn't work that way. Or I'll swim back to my boat and I'll end up back on shore. That's when you make a choice, right? So you have to decide to go this way. You have to decide to become the person you want to become. You have to decide to go after the thing that you want to go after. It may not be pretty. It may not look the way you want it to look. You may fall several times. You may give up halfway in the middle, but you can't go back now because you already made decisions. So you just get back up and you keep pushing one step at a time, one day at a time. So first, you got to define and decide. Number two, you have to align your thoughts and actions with the person who already has the results that you want. This is all about modeling success. It's about controlling that internal narrative, right? Environment is the most powerful influence in the world. So the best way to do this is to find someone who already has the results and model their behaviors. You model their thoughts, right? If you just listen to them talk, you can hear how they think about themselves, the beliefs that they tell themselves. And then you take those thoughts and beliefs and you make them your own. You don't want to rely on your own thoughts and beliefs, right? You want to rely on the person who has the result that you have. You want to rely on their thoughts and beliefs and make them yours. And then you want to back it up with action. Because you remember, thought and action is what creates that identity shift, right? Your brain is looking for consistency between the repeated thoughts that you have and the actions that you do. So you want to take the beliefs of them, make them your own, and then you want to act like them as well. That's going to create alignment because now you're aligning yourself with the path of success of the person who already has the results that you want. And number three is reinforcement, right? You want to build evidence through small wins. And this is simple, 3-step process. You want to keep it small, or start small, I would say. You want to start small. That means instead of going to the gym 7 days a week, instead of going to the gym 5 days a week for 2 hours, just start with just one push-up. I mean, when I say start small, I mean start embarrassingly small, right? Start maybe with one push-up, 5 push-ups a day. One push-up, one squat, 5 minutes. 5 push-ups, 5 squats, 5-minute walk. You want to start embarrassingly small because you're building yourself a foundation that's going to allow you to sustain the long-term success and transformation that you're looking for. That's what you want to do. You want to start small. Number two, you want to start slow. Think of it like a marathon, right? When you come out the gate on the marathon, you're not heading out the gate as fast as you can because you got 26.2 miles to go. Doing a full sprint as soon as you get out the gate, you're definitely going to tire out and you're not going to make it. So you want to start slow, right? Give yourself the space to be able to stretch out and build that momentum that you need. Remember, we're not looking for motivation. We're not looking to feel good when we come out the gate. We're looking for momentum. And when you start slow and you start small, that allows you to build some momentum over time that's going to sustain you in the long run. And for the third one, you would just want to keep it simple. See, because when you keep it simple, you're not overcomplicating things. Simplicity is the key to execution. Simplicity is the key to success. So keeping your things simple allows you, again, to build a foundation that is going to be solid, that's going to sustain you in the long run. So for reinforcement, you want to start small, start slow, keep it simple. And also another tip for reinforcement, one of the best ways to stay consistent is to create an environment that supports who you want to become, right? Because it's going to make it easier to do the behaviors that you need to do. It's easier to go work out when you're at the gym than it is to work out when you're home surrounded by your bed, your couch, and comfort. So much easier. So you want to create an environment that is supportive of who you're trying to become and what you want to achieve. Because when you do that, it makes building the consistency in your actions so much easier. So much easier. And the last one, you just want to evolve. You want to constantly evolve your identity. Constantly evolve who you're becoming, right? Continue to raise your standards. Continue to raise the levels that you're going after, what you're attempting to achieve. Because who you see yourself as now can become so much more than who you believe. You just have to make some progress and get further down the road. Once you get further down the road, that goal is going to move. Why? Because we're always becoming closer to our potential. We're not reaching our potential, but we're always becoming closer to our potential as we grow, right? Because you're either becoming more than who you are today, or you're becoming less than who you are today. You're becoming more than who you were created. You're becoming more of who you were created to be, or less than who you are today. So you want to constantly evolve, right? You want to eliminate old and outdated beliefs that you had that worked for you in the past that don't work anymore. You want to get rid of those and expand on your beliefs. You want to expand on your vision, expand on who you can become. You want to constantly evolve throughout the process, because it is a process. Now, winners design their life so that discipline becomes automatic. You don't need motivation. You just need systems. You don't need willpower. You just need a process. And the D.A.R.E framework gives you that so you can sustain that long-term transformation that you're looking for. You can sustain those routines that you're looking for. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody you feel might be able to benefit from this content. Also, I have a book out currently called Winning Within: How to Win the War Between Greatness and Mediocrity. I talk about some of the things that I talked about in this video. If you want to check it out, thank you to everybody that has supported me thus far. Thank you to everybody that supported the book. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next video.